So just a side note,
Yeah, yeah.
I was looking at this manga for X8 or HX8, and it is quite terrible looking.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the newest chapters
It's like
back, bro.
appalling.
They are disgusting. Not in a good way. They look very awful.
My
Very, very
goodness.
awful.
I don't
Man, that's
know
because
who.
he's sick, man. He's sick.
Well, not that. I mean, whoever's drawing it, but that's what I'm saying. It's probably not the polished up, finished version. Like I'm saying, somebody's taking the I'm sick and hasn't, they got the sketches
Yeah.
and they haven't been
And they
tightened
just
up
put
and
them in
made
the-
to
yeah.
look clean yet. They're just taking it and throwing it out there because people want it. I'm like, I would rather you give me some stuff that took you 3 months to make because I know you're not doing well and things like that, rather than somebody's taking your sketches and the narrative and just throwing it out there to the world because it looked like trash.
It looked crazy.
And I'm also kind of I want to see Killua again and Gone. I like just when they coming back. But and then our third question, we're gonna touch on the third question. Why is it that black I got tongue tied. I was gonna say cosplayers. Why is it that black cosplayers don't focus on dressing as black characters more to represent those characters more at the con? Or any
Can I
convention.
get with that real quick?
Yeah, if you want to run it, run it.
I think that it's kind of just like I said earlier. When was that Chunelu asked me why you think that it would hurt to play non-black characters?
Yeah, I asked you that.
Yeah, so I think because you don't need to play black characters. For one, there's not a lot, but I don't think that you need to. I think that if you do it good, you know what I mean. You can portray non-black characters just as good as you can portray black characters, in my opinion. And if you suck and you try to play a black character anyways, it's just as bad. it's if not worse because you black and you can't play a black character, than as if you did a bad non-black character. But I just really don't think you have to play a black character just because you black, and I don't think people really necessarily care about that whole thing, you know. Like I never sat there and thought about like, oh, black people need to be represented more. These black anime characters need to be lifted up or anything. Like it's not our spot, I guess, not place or nothing.
Are you trying to say like it's more so it's not our culture, but at the same time,
yeah,
it's just
not our culture, exactly.
To that degree, there is no representation of us in full effect.
Right.
Like you'll always have the off-whites, you'll have the Asians, but the small number of black characters to a show is far and few between. You don't see them often. Even some of the ones I watch now, I'm surprised if I even get somebody with a tan. But I mean, it makes more sense, you know. I can't say why they don't focus on dressing as them. I just can say like the ones that I usually do see, they're mostly background. They're never anybody that's stands out. So I mean, usually when people dress as certain black characters, now that's not to say that the ones that we do have aren't like top tier, can't be easily recognized, but a lot of them have had such small inferior roles in the show that nobody would even recognize them if you dressed as them. The only reason why I'm assuming somebody may remember Khalik Rung from Soul Eaters because Khalik was in the other than Soul, Maka, Black Star, and who else? Their whole little squad. Like you did see Khalik quite a bit. He wasn't just a background black dude that was in the show, or like that one black kid in Harry Potter that nobody knows his name. Cause they had one. There was one nigga at Hogwarts. I just cannot remember his name. So I would just say there aren't that many of us, man. But they're starting to become more and more. Like I love the ones I do see with like T'Challa and Storm and Cable. I mean, there's plenty of comic book blacks to dress as now as far as DC and Marvel. But now when it comes to anime, or just manga, there aren't too many. Plus, a lot of times you can't tell who's black until they finish really coloring it in. So that's the only thing I would say. Like it's just not enough Saxton. But I love when I do see it. I do love it. I do love to see us being represented in a certain way because, like I said, no matter what avenue you look at, our influence is very minute. but to the degree we influence things, it's global. This melanin,
Yeah.
this drip, it influences a lot of things on a global scale.
The drip.
Hey,
I know, right?
this drip, you gotta understand. This SPF, this built-in SPF, it influences a lot of things on a grand scale. But our representation in all facets and avenues is just so small that, you know, unless we're doing it ourselves, it's like, I mean, that's why, like, this one company that I've actually put backing behind for, like, you ever heard of it, Black Sands? It's pretty much be like the black version of Avatar, but with the Egyptians, and stuff like that. Like, I cannot wait to see how that goes when it gets finished. Because, I mean, that'd be so great for kids who don't have anything like that nowadays. Like, we loved Avatar for what it was. It was great. But to see something along those lines that covers a more deeply rooted version of our heritage, by any means, I can't, you know, I mean, it's not even for those of us who are, you know, innately inherited from it. A lot of us, just put it to you like this, more so from an, not a heritage standpoint, but just for the culture point. It'd be great to see that. That's why I'll stop on that point. Trey, I'm gonna let you go ahead, or Yig, if y'all want to come back to something, I'm gonna let y'all touch it. I'm just gonna go use the restroom real quick, guys. So
I just gotta say, before Nella goes, I think Nella, that's kind of where the Boondocks stands and all that. That's kind of why it's like its own thing and its own, like, he couldn't even like make it anime or anything else, like, cause it is its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
What you think, man?
What was the question again? Oh, I'm just messing with his. I'm just messing with his. By the time he was done, I was like, wait, what were we talking about? Oh, he was talking about cosplay.
And I want to touch on Lil Pikachu after Nella.
So with the cosplay thing, for one, like they were saying earlier, there are a lot of you're very limited in your choices if you want to stick to your race, especially being black. Like, very limited. For me, an issue I have with that is that it makes you predictable. Because if people expect you to cosplay as a black person, it makes it very predictable what you're going to show up as. And I don't like that. I want to blow people away by, oh man, that is a cool cosplay, and not necessarily even realize that that's not a character of color, or if it is a character of color.
Exactly.
Because like Yig was saying, the what's the word? The concept is still there. 100%. People will know who you are as soon as they look. But that's why I was saying Lord Zed. Lord Zed is just exposed muscle. Like, he doesn't have skin.
Yeah.
But whether you be white or black, I've always thought it was cool to cosplay as something that's not necessarily human to begin with, or humanoid in nature. So I thought that would be cool. But yeah, I think it's because we're limited, and because nobody wants to be boxed in. Nobody, like Roll Tide Girl said, nobody wants to be boxed in. So if people are expecting you and obligating you to cosplay as a black person, most people aren't going to like that because you're so limited in your choices. And it sucks. So I think that everybody should be able to cosplay as what they want, because something that I saw a while back that kind of upset me. Like, you have these black cosplayers that will cosplay as, like, I saw a black girl cosplay as Android 18. It was fire. Absolute fire.
It looks like it'd be dope.
And people were like, I didn't see a lot of negativity. Nobody was really in there like, you know, Tina's white, right? Nobody was really saying that. It was just supportive. But when somebody asked if they could cosplay as Black Panther that was white, people lost it. They were like,
you know what? To be entirely honest, how would you even do that?
He's in a suit.
Yeah, he's in a suit. Oh, okay, so you would just have your regular white self in Black Panther suit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
People were mad because they were saying, this is our thing. This is the thing. You can't take this. You always take
man.
our thing. And I was
That's
like,
the insecurity at some point.
Yeah, I was like, you can't get upset. You can't get upset at people for that when you are crying for the same thing. That guy might just be a huge fan of Black Panther, and now you're bashing his fandom at this point. It's almost like saying you're not allowed to be such a hardcore fan of Black Panther because you're not black.
Right.
and that's not cool at all.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, you're right, Lil Pikachu. White people do have a lot of representation in society already, but if you keep living in the past like that, you won't be able to move forward.
Exactly. And that's like, and why not? You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're doing blackface.
It's not causing
and
personal
trying
harm
to
to
do
us.
all that. Yeah, exactly. And we're moved for it, you know, and that's kind of, not to get too deep and not to get too much into that Kanye stuff. But Kanye
He
said
said not to get into that
you
Kanye
said.
stuff.
Yeah, because you
Yeah,
can go super far. But Kanye said the same thing as Miller said. When you focusing on that type of stuff, it's like we're living in the past, and a lot of people haven't been able to move forward from that. You know what I mean? And just let go of all those insecurities. Let go of, who cares if people think you're in a box and you want to portray a black character, or who cares if a white person wants to portray a black character? You know what I mean? And to me, if a white dude did Black Panther good and came out the box and was just himself, but like did the acting and all that really good, then that's dope. It's different. Why not come in? You know, why not see that? You know what I mean? It'd be weird, but it'd be dope.
And what Roll Tide Girl said was what I was going to end it with. Cosplay is at its purest about fandom. That's it.
Yeah.
It's about you being a fan of this show / this character. And well, so Lil Pikachu, Black Panther wasn't written by a black person.
Not at all.
So you can't say that that's culture.
Right.
That's just something we like because it's a black superhero. But we don't have any claim over Black Panther at all.
No, but what I will say though, Trey, is as much as you want to say somebody, you never want to make anybody not feel like they can't, you know, because cosplay is about freedom, creativity, things like that. I myself would have to find it very hard if old boy took off that T'Challa helmet and it was a white dude. I'd be like, now the helmet, suit, and spandex, that's fine because you'll never know. But to see a de-suited T'Challa have like straight hair or a buzz cut, I wouldn't be like, oh man, you can't do that. What the hell did I just say? Oh man, like I don't be like, boy, that,
see,
you know,
that's my thing.
I would just be like, I don't know how to feel about that, but I mean, I respect it. It's his. I can't be like, you can't do that. I'm never gonna be like, no, this is our no, because like you just said, the artistry, the creativity behind it wasn't designed by one of us. It was designed by somebody who sympathized with our blight and wanted to essentially give us a model of sorts, truly at its core. But I just feel like, man, if a cat took off that thing and if he had cornrows, I'd still be like, whew, he was reaching, but I gotta respect it.
right. And that's to me, I think the only reason why I even have any type of quarrel with it is because I just don't think that will work. Like, you could do it, and like just like Ted said, as soon as he takes off the mask and he's a white dude,
the illusion's gone.
Yes, it kind of just doesn't work. Whereas I could, like I said, Super B, but I could totally see.
Who is Super B? Man, that's what I was gonna look up.
Killer B.
Super B. Oh, okay.
Killer B. My bad. I know Super B is the old school car, so I could totally see a chubby white dude with his blonde cornrows.
Yeah.
Playing Super B or Killer B, mother. Playing Killer B. But as far as like an African dude, you know what I mean, and that's what everything is representative of, like Wakanda and all that. That would just kind of be weird. Like that would, I don't know. It might not work. I ain't gonna hate on you, but you might get looked at weird, like, because it just
that's fine. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's
you know what I mean, like
situation than me telling you can't do it because he's black and you can't do that.
Right.
Because the very second somebody says that to a person of color, all hell breaks loose.
Right.
So we have to show, as black people, we have to show that we're not going to hold you or ourselves to double standards.
Yep.
And move forward from it.
Period.
because like Taz was saying, yeah, as soon as he takes that helmet off, and then I see an Aryan warrior come out that helmet.
Aryan, no, why it gotta be Aryan?
Because that's like the pinnacle. So when I'm looking at it, I'll be like, oh, I might look at him twice and be like, yo, what?
Be like, what is this? Like, hold
But then I'll
on.
be like, hey man, respect for you having the boldness to come out here like that.
Exactly. I mean,
So-
you can't knock somebody who, you know, doing that. I just be like, but this is beyond me. you
Whatever they
different.
want. Yeah, that's funny. Well, what we got next?
Next up on deck, I'm gonna take this one. All right.
Oh,
Is lolicon a legitimate issue due to pedophilia, or is it just justifiable because it's not real? For those of you who don't know, lollies, the very mature but tiny children-like looking girls that usually follow in anime and manga, they could be overly developed but literally look like a kid.
I'm gonna tell y'all the book definition of these things, or the like Urban Dictionary, all that type of stuff. But lolicon, so lolly and lolicon are different. A lolicon is a person, and a lolly is that person.
Yep.
So lolicon is a person that's attracted to lollies. And then a lolly, of course, is what Tez was saying. But sometimes they're not necessarily old either. And that's where you get in the dangerous territory.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. They look super mature. And now, like, for y'all, this is just one of the topics that I happened to be asked, like, by someone who just said bring it up. I was like, all right, we can address it. We're all adults here, talk about it. No one here likes kids whatsoever. This whole panel is married, just so you know. This whole panel got a ring on it both ways. But it's definitely, yeah. Now, to an extent, I can say I've seen real life lollies, but the lollies I have seen are grown. They're just really short girls or petite women, in my case. So I've never actually seen.
Girl.
Huh?
Sorry, roll tide girl. It's exactly what it's like. A pre-pubescent woman with a lot of times accentuated features. Other times they just look prepubescent.
so is it a kid or is it a woman?
It's a kid.
It's a kid in case of the shows.
It's a kid. It's a kid. In a lot of situations, they look like a woman,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a kid. And
So
other
you
times they
talking
may
about
just-
like anime that everybody's in high school but they're super accentuated.
But
like,
actually, that's a
have you
good
seen-
example.
Have you seen Konosuba? Yeah.
Nah, is that the American name?
Yeah, that's just what it's called. It's an anime. So all the people that say like they love Megumi,
Oh, okay.
usually they'll get told that they're a lolicon.
Oh,
I like
okay.
darkness in that show. People
I
are
love me
Megumi,
some darkness.
oh, you're probably a lolicon. You like younger looking girls in anime. It's like a cutesy type thing for a lot of people.
Gotcha.
But see, over in Asian culture though, that should be wild though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's kind of like I just realized that when I was watching Food Wars that they were in middle school and high school, and I'm like, oh, okay, like
that's just
girls
normal
with
anime.
short. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
That's
And I'm
normal
like,
for ecchi type animes.
One Punch
And
Man.
I'm like,
That's
is that
perfect.
the
One
culture,
Punch Man.
man?
So everybody here seen One Punch Man?
I haven't seen One Punch Man.
You haven't seen it yet?
I don't know how. I always fall asleep like the first episode,
What?
and it's
He
only
said
like
I
5
always fall
episodes.
asleep on the first episode.
Man,
I'm trying to find an example for Yig, and Yig is
I don't
tripping.
understand. Yeah,
Bulma.
I am tripping
young
on that.
young Bulma from Dragon Ball.
Okay.
Because remember, Bulma, you remember how mature Bulma looked? Even though Bulma was technically not even a high schooler, or she wasn't even like an adult. When Goku met her as a kid, that's like, and Roshi was still perversion on Bulma, even though he's still perversed on her now. But yeah, Bulma wasn't even grown. She was just very over accentuated for a child.
So that's like, and somebody who's attracted to her more so than like other characters in the show, mature ones are like, oh, okay, then you might be a lolicon. Not saying you are, but you might be. So Tatsumaki is the other example of a lolly from One Punch Man. I'm gonna send you a picture of it when I find one. Perfect. Here we go. So Tatsumaki's like 30 or 28 or something in One Punch Man, but she looks like a super young girl. So if people are just like, yeah, I like her because of how she looks, not her personality or nothing like that, then you're probably gonna get the side eye from somebody. Because that's lolicon territory. It's like, I don't know, man, you might be a little weird. So I think it's borderline pedophilia. The reason I say borderline is because people lose their grip on reality when they're in anime. Yeah. And with the Japanese culture in anime, they constantly over-sexualize lolly on purpose. I don't know if that's just a thing out there, but it happens all the time. Like, there's just this attraction to super petite, super tiny women. And the interesting thing about it to me is, like, with Food Wars, you see how accentuated a lot of those girls' features are, how exaggerated they are.
Very.
They're not shaped like Japanese women at all. Japanese women are normally shaped like a lot of the lollies in these anime. Small chest, slender frame, super small and petite. But then you have the other girls who are like the bodacious ones that are shaped like girls from other countries. And that's why I say it borders sometimes, because it could be akin in Japan, at least could be just be akin to those men being more attracted to what they see every day. But there are also others that are in the lollies for very different reasons. So that's why I say it's borderline. It's a very fine line. But yeah, lolly is always a interesting subject.
I mean, I didn't have too much to say here to it. I just wanted to get it out there. It's just always, it's definitely been weird. It's definitely one of those weird things. It's like, for their culture, it's like, yeah. But then, like, when I watch, I never find myself, because I'm an adult. I can tell who's grown, and going into the shows I watch, I know who's of my age. But then again, it's not real, and people are like, well, it's not real. So does that make me, or does that not make me? In my case, I wouldn't say it makes you, as long as you're not in real life attracted to that kind of thing. The cartoon is one thing, but understanding the difference between both from where you stand in real life and an animation, yes, just as long as you can draw that subtle line. Like me and Trey, I love Darkness. I know Darkness is full on grown. Ain't no issues.
Yeah, Darkness in their 20s.
Exactly. So like I wouldn't find myself like looking at somebody like Megumi in real life and just like, man, wow. I'm like, no, like that's like one of my little cousins. Like, stop, sir, pump your brakes, chill out. So yeah, that's just generally where that horn lies.
Yeah, I don't really think of it like that at all, really.
How do you think of it?
Well, one, it's a different culture. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if the people who are animating it are thinking of it like that or not. Probably, but it's just a different culture for me. Half the time, I don't even like see animated characters as Japanese, anyways. For like the first years and years after I started watching anime, I saw them all as white people. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to even recognize unless there's some context to it. So I don't really look at it like that. And then, but as far as lollies, so a lolicon, you said, is the person who's into lollies, right?
Yeah.
And then a lolly is the actual thing.
Yeah.
And a lolly is a grown or a kid that looks
very
like a grown woman,
accentuated like a grown woman. Yeah.
Or vice versa. I just sent you a picture in Discord.
It's hard, and I would say what Nella Trey said, borderline, because in animation, it's hard to really differentiate. If you really go into it and say, yeah, I only like the lollies, and if you go into the plot point and they are only in high school, the ones you're attracted to, blah 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 blah, then yeah, that's pedophilia.
That raises that
You
raises
know what I mean?
flags. You know what I'm saying?
But at the same time, it's at that point, is it just age? You know what I mean? Like that makes it pedophilia.
Well, even
You
even
know,
better
we're not
question.
talking about a
Have you ever
10-year-old
seen High School of the Dead
has
though?
that. You know, we're talking about a 17-year-old, 16-year-old, or is it just any of them? You know what I mean? We're talking about older that are just very accentuated, and you're attracted to accentuated parts, or you know what I mean? Like it's really borderline. But to just be like, man, y'all pedophiles. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you know, like, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I never even thought about it.
Yeah, man. Like that's what I'm saying. This podcast has so many things that can be touched on, talked about, because this culture has so many different avenues and channels. Because like I was saying, if you look at High School of the Dead, just as another example, bro, I'm just like, when I first saw High School of the Dead, I'm like, what is this? Now, as an adult, now I'm looking at it like, they were still in high school, and this ain't counting seniors, bro. Like these are just sophomores. I'm like, why? But it's all about how you look at it. Like, bro, I'm not out here creeping on, anything like that at the time when I was that age. I was just like, I just saw jiggle mechanics.
Yeah,
that was it. I'm just like, whoa.
And I haven't seen that, but I know what you mean. People tell me about it.
Well, yeah. Did you see that picture I put in Discord?
Let me look at it.
That's a reverse lolly, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's a grown woman who looked like she about still in middle school, high school.
To my point.
Oh, okay.
So she's 28 years old in the show, but that's what she looks like. So the thing with lollies is they usually look like this. And it's more so about look than age these days. It's not necessarily what their age is, it's that they have this type of look. And a lot of dudes like that watch anime are more attracted to this type than they are like the big accentuated.
I will never understand that, boy. That's so weird.
And
I can see that. Like right now. Now to me though,
still, like giving her certain features in certain places that aren't really natural.
Right, exactly. And to me, looking at that picture, it like that just looks like anime to me. But the only reason I see that as like looking like a young person is because we're talking about it.
Yeah, like
you know what I mean. In that picture, is that an over accentuated picture? Or is that how she looks exactly?
No, that's how she looks.
Like with the shininess of her garments and stuff like that as well. Oh, okay. I didn't know if you just found like a fan picture or not.
That's a fan picture, but that's what she looks like.
That's essentially what she looks like. So just touching on the base. So like you said, it can either be someone who's really young who looks shapely and mature, or somebody who's mature but looks young and still has those quote unquote not so overly accentuated features, but it just makes them look like
they have girlish features.
Yeah,
could be a whole granny out here. I saw a granny lolly in some anime once. I'm like, bruh, how is she a grandma?
Granny lolly?
Yes. But she's a grandmother, but she retained her young juvenile skin, and she had like subtle features so she could get away with stuff. Or even better, there was an anime that I was watching where the mama was literally like a kid. She literally looked like the size of a kid, or like she was younger than her children, but she was their mother, and she was a fool. Hey man, what anime was that? Because it was mostly comedic, but I could never fully get down with it because it just kept dropping me left and right. I'll come back to it eventually at some point. Figure it out.
So
I'll tell you all about it.
Finalize your question with the lollipop. It's about to get a little weird for a second, but I don't think it's an issue until you venture off into the realm of
IRL.
Hentai. Into hentai, I think is when it can become an issue. Because at that point, if lolly is all you're looking up, and that's what you're fantasizing about, at that point you have become sexually attracted to women with girlish features and females that don't look mature at all. That's become your sexual attraction. That's when it may be an issue because, like Gig said, at first he just saw it as an anime character.
Yeah.
But the point where you're just like, oh yeah, she bad. That's you're getting into weird territory there. And
yeah, that's when you cross the line of, like I said, when what you fantasize from a show standpoint starts to subtly seep into your personal workings of self and IRL. Yeah, you're pretty much right at the doorstep.
And I just want to, so like this picture that Nella Trey sent, I don't know how to explain it. There's a difference between girlish features and the whole theme of the picture looking like maybe they're like a little girl or something versus like you just not having over accentuated body parts. Because this picture is very sexualized, but she looks like a little, you know what I mean? Where you see somebody like, and you said Megami considered Lolly. We talking about food?
No, Megami, not Megami.
Oh, okay.
She's like a little wizard.
Oh, well, there's other like grown, you know, anime characters that aren't overly accentuated, but they don't necessarily look like they're in their teens.
No, see, exactly. So, like I said, it's both spectrums, Jig. So,
and this is so weird. Like okay, so like this picture you sent me, she's not overly accentuated, but she is hypersexualized.
Exactly, and then you can have on the inverse of that, you can have a whole little girl who got a rack like a woman who done had 3 kids already.
Right, but then there's also older ladies who are not over-sexualized. But for some reason, this picture really like it looks like a little girl. Yeah.
With Lolly, it's not an age thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if you look at those anime where these kids are 16, 17 years old, and you see like them being very shapely, very curvy. Rotai Girl, she's 28. She's 28 years old.
Yep.
So you see the women that have, or the teenage girls that have all the features. That's something that's more along the lines of fan service to me.
Mm-hmm.
Or like clickbait on YouTube. Of course, you're gonna get more people to watch that way, and like that's. Since anime is more of a fantasy type thing, why shouldn't these girls look like what your fantasy girls look like?
Right.
So I don't have an issue with that. But the Lolly thing is more, it's a look, not necessarily an age, it's a look. It's a very specific look, like that picture I put in. And that's why it can become an issue, but right now, I don't see it so much as an issue. But that's why you see, like, if you follow any anime comedy page, on Facebook or Instagram or something, there are always memes where like you have a lolly, some dude saying something creepy to a lolly and they call the FBI. Or the FBI is always watching you look at lollies saying you're on the suspect
like, oh
list.
boy,
like that type of stuff.
Man, I had a good one, man. Can I think of it? It's a lot of the slice of life animes usually have lollies. Like hands down. Anyone that's a slice of life or
Toradora is a good example.
Yeah.
Toradora, the not tank top. Taiga is a lolly, even though she's the same age as all these older kids.
True.
Little Pikachu, exactly. That's why I said when you get into the sexual fantasizing thing.
Exactly, that's when it becomes a problem. So like being a fan of something doesn't make it wrong, but when it starts to stimulate you in such a way that you're, now drawn to it for that type of enjoyment, that's when it slips into the realm of, pedophilic, or you may be looking at, you might have some real issues, but then you can't say that it's. Now, on a kid point, yeah, it's an issue. But if you actually do, because there are some grown women who look like this. They exist, right. Just far few and very few in between. If you found one, there you go. But when it becomes like you looking it up and they're not of age, you got a problem.
Well, that's how the majority of the women look in Japan.
Well, yeah.
That's why I said it's very difficult because over there a lot of women have this type of feature. They're very small, they're very slender, they still look super young, and they may be 25.
Mm-hmm. Hold up, bro. But hold on. But that's the thing. Like, we can't gouge that to at least our people because it don't crack. It just don't crack. Your grandmama still be about 20 years young, old. So I mean, I guess that's the case because like my grandmother is very short, 4'11", and she still looks super young. It just be getting passed off like she could still be my mom. I'm like, no, that's my grandmother. And then you see my mother, and she could be my sister. I'm just like, nope. So I mean, different cultures, it varies. So I mean, we could go around in circles on this one subject forever. We could go around in circles on this one forever. We still got one more to touch.
Yeah, I think the common conclusion is if you're going for the young woman,
yeah, man,
you're attracted to adults that have kiddish features. I don't necessarily think that's pedophilia. I just think you're attracted to that type of stuff. Exactly. But if you're with the actual young girls, because I can go for an adult that is kiddish all day. If I genuinely just like those features, then I'm not pedophile at all.
Facts.
So,
alright, we've answered that. Dang, hey, I'm trying to remember. I think it's who. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. Tongue-tied. Saxton, thank you for that question, fam. Or not. No. Yeah, thank you for that question, Saxton, bro. That was a legit good one. No, not Saxton. Sorry, that was one we had already. But I'm just thanking everybody for putting questions. I'm starting to get everybody crossed up, man. I'm sorry, people.
Saxton's question earlier was a really good question.
Yeah, his question. I mean, cause I thought I just played into the same thing. Cause I'm like, yo, we've been talking about this for a minute, just like the other one. I put 2 and 2 in the wrong spots. But so Trey, you want to hand out the last one?
Nah, I'm gonna leave that up to you because I may have a different last one you like.
Oh, okay. Cause yeah, we still, well, as far as what we have to touch here, now if we got some time and if everybody's still feeling it, and things like that, we got some other ones we can go into, cause there's really no limit on the podcast, people. I generally like to keep it on 2 hours, but I mean, if everybody's enjoying it and staying around, we'll just keep talking. That's what we're here for. The next is, does fan service actually hurt anime, or does it just add more to the bundle?
I didn't have that one.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? That's why
I had discussing whatever your favorite episode.
Well, I mean, we can still do that one also.
Right, yeah.
So, fan service.
We can still do that one after this, but like that's what I'm saying, Trey. I asked last night. You was like, yeah, I like the
fan service is a blessing and a curse.
Yep.
Used in the right dosages and at the right moments, fan service can definitely add to the experience. And it also depends on what type of anime you're watching. But when it becomes like super saturated with fan service and it's purely fan service at that point, I don't really want to watch anymore because it's just not my type of show. Like that's why I didn't make it through High School of the Dead. There's a lot of fan service in it, too much.
The jiggle mechanics, you mean?
Too much for my standards.
Gotcha.
Just all types of stuff, man. Like
I only watch like 5 episodes and I'm done.
Real quick, so for those of us that don't know what fan service is, because I just like truly started understanding what that is, can you explain it?
I'll take a swing at it and then I'll let Trey, I guess you want to build off of what I'm gonna say or give your own, thing into it. So now within recent years, I want to say there's become a trend, like in Asian cultures, they're very sexualized to a degree. Like it's just out there like what they like and it's no big thing. So a recent trend that I've just come to notice as I've been watching for so long, the fan service that applies mostly the very hyper accentuated curves and boobs and things like that, mostly when it comes to the female characters. Now it's starting to become like that for the men when it comes to women too, because you see like they're doing the men very in a Channing Tatum, Magic Mike type of oriented look. So, you know, trying to cater to the girls and their different, you know, things that they like. But that's where most of the shows that I watch, the fan service really kicks in. So, like, you know, they're just, oh yeah, you gotta have your lolly, you gotta have your girl with the really obscene chest or rack, you gotta have your one ditzy one, but they mostly, or even a harem. Harems become so normalized. Like back in the day, I barely even could find a show that had one in it, because not like I was looking for them, but just for it to be the premise of what was going on, you know, that was just, you know, very uncommon. But now a harem is like in most shonens now, especially like this season alone, they're there. It's one main character with a group of girls. And I mean, and the girls are all at some point trying to bide their time to be with him. And also even fan service covers as much as, like, a lot of these ones with harems, you'll see him interact, the main character of the guy, he'll interact with these girls, but there'll be these random moments where something just happened, my hand's on her boobs, or my face is in her chest, or she ended up landing on my face, I tripped and fell, like stuff like that, or I saw her panties, just weird stuff like that. That's fan service. Or a lot of like Dead Hero said, cleavage shots, panty shots, the accidental put someone in a sexy position, so on and so forth. That's all fan service to just, you know, cater to the sex sales of it all.
Okay. Cause I was watching Food Wars and somebody told me that wasn't fan service.
No,
and then they said watch High School DxD, and they said that's fan service.
Put to you like this, you know those moments when they eat, the judgings happen and they eat the food for the women? The stuff you see that's fan service.
I'll be cracking up. Alright, so let's get back to the initial question.
Hold up, you gotta let Trey jump on.
Oh, sorry.
Cut that man out.
My bad, I didn't know. I was just asking. My bad, go ahead.
So, to add to what Tez said, fan service isn't just, fan service definition has been warped, just like a lot of other things do once the internet gets a hold of it. Because that's the fan service people complain about, is the sexual fan service. The fan service is just giving the fans what they want. It's not necessarily a sexualized type of fan service, like the sexy poses, the panty shot.
Mine was just towards like the hurting anime stuff. That's what my definition came towards.
But other fan service can be super enhancing, like No Game No Life. They did like a whole scene where it looked and felt like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. That's also fan service. Gintama is known for fan service.
Like, also for episodes of service too.
So fan service doesn't have to be sexual. Usually that's the most common fan service.
That's just the one that's hurting it the most right now. Hurting the culture right now the most is the over sexualized ones. Bless you.
Thank you. But I don't have too big of an issue with it. It's just if it's in abundance and that's all the show is focusing on, I won't watch it. Like with Food Wars, there is a lot of fan service. There's a lot. But the show is still deeply rooted in food.
Exactly.
So I can watch it, and I actually don't mind the food tasting things because it's funny to me.
Right.
Like there's a reason behind it, so it's not just pointless fan service. I'm like, oh, okay. And like Shokugeki no Soma, because they do that, it doesn't necessarily fall under fan service. Shokugeki no Soma falls under the ecchi category, which is a whole different thing.
Yep, but a lot of ecchis have that fan service that, you know, that people complain about. Like,
but
I mean, it's ecchi for a reason.
You can't really complain because you know it too.
Exactly, you're watching it for a reason. But back in the day, though, that's what I was saying. Like, within recent years, me watching most stuff that even had subtle categorization of ecchi in it, it wasn't as rampant as it is now. Like, you may see one expert, but like the whole episode, I don't mind it now. Cause I mean, I laugh at it and I just take it for what it is what it is. But for a lot of people, there's like, where's the substance? Where's, you know, you mean something more than just jiggle mechanics, a panty shot, a boob flip, this, that, and the third. I mean, you know that's gonna come with it, but ecchi in its own lane became a derived source of softcore for people who didn't want to go hardcore into like hentai. That's where I feel like it branched, because that's pretty much all it is. You still get the subtle peaks of something, but it's not full on. And hentai is this whole other thing, but it's just they do too much. I feel like if you're like, yeah, you know, one or two, that's fine. but I've literally watched this entire last season and some of this season. It's literally the same thing, like how to not summon a demon lord, or what else is how to not summon a demon lord. The one about the also with just to touch back for y'all who don't know, there is a opposite form of lolly for boys as well. I can't think of the name of it.
Shota.
Yeah, there we go. That. There's a show that's got that in the title that's going on a crap ton of like. I watched one episode and I was like, I can't watch this. Not because I don't like what I'm seeing. It's just I don't understand it, can't get it. Things like that. But yeah, it's just a lot of that is just too much. It's sometimes like give me the story. Give me something. I'll take what you give me as far as that stuff goes. But sometimes I just want a decent story, maybe some cleavage here, a panty flip there. But if after 5 seconds, and I count 5 seconds to each, they all literally fall on the next 3 minutes of each other. I'm like, that's a little much. You reaching. You're reaching. Keep it subtle. Stay thirsty, my friends.
So were we just doing? Did you just answer the question?
I was just touching base on my own thing. Now y'all can just keep going. Just keep going. That was just Tez. That's just my take.
So can you repeat the question for me, please?
Does fan service actually hurt anime, or does it add more to the bundles? What Trey gave was more so the opposition of how it adds to rather than hurting. I gave my opinion on what I feel like usually is what a lot of folks complain about that does hurt certain shows, and I being not being biased and actually looking at it from a perspective that's not somebody who really enjoys this, I could see where somebody feel like this would hurt something, just taking myself out of my own shoes and throwing them into a different viewer's perspective. So I guess just how do you feel personally about it? But I do agree with Trey that a lot of things do add, because you got crossover episodes, like those type of things. Like I was hyped when I saw Toriko, Goku, and Luffy in episodes. I was like, hey, please, but where's Naruto? But they can't really throw Naruto. You can't throw a ninja into something that don't make sense. But I still would have been fine with it. And even now they got the last, was it Dragon Ball Super's characters that got thrown in with the newest time skip version of the One Piece people, or no, One Punch Man got thrown in with Goku and Vegeta. So like that's still interesting to see how that's gonna play out. So there is some fan service that does cater to the good, but there's the generalized.
Oh yeah, that's a manga crossover.
Yeah.
I know
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's also fan service.
Okay. So I think the fan service that Nella pointed out with the fans, that's always good. That's huge. That's amazing to me. As far as the over sexualized stuff and the nudity and the sex and all that stuff, I never go into an anime looking for that. I'm not interested in it. I'm not just like, oh, I'll never watch this anime because it has that in it. But that's like the last thing I'm interested in. So in the case of me watching Food Wars, I was kind of like, at one, I was cracking up. But then like, I think towards like, as I watched it more, it kind of slowed down and ramped up, slowed down. So it was able to keep my attention because of the food and all that stuff. And it didn't go overboard. If it was just always showing titties and doing all this type of stuff, then I probably couldn't watch it.
Well, they found a really good balance, and the artist for Food Wars was a hentai artist before he came.
You already knew. You could tell all day. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, they found good balance, and I think for me, it was a little bit on the more obscene side than balanced side, but it's just fine. Like if I wouldn't have been into food as much, I probably wouldn't have watched that. And just because every time somebody tasted food, I was just cracking up. Just like it didn't really add too much for me. But when they told me to watch High School XDX, and I was like, okay, let me see what this is about, and it actually showed all that. To me, I think, I don't know if it's not hentai, I don't need to watch it, in my opinion. Like I don't know. I think it takes away from it. I think it hurts it more than anything. But that being said, damn. The little fan service that was in like My Hero Academia, Boku no Hero, where they actually explained why the ladies dressed the way they did,
Yeah.
Now that is totally okay, and even my wife was like, "Look at her moves," and then I had to tell her like, "Yo, but if you see her do her power, she materializes things out her chest." You know what I mean? And then even the other chick, rated R, Lady R, like she's like, yeah, I gotta actually, y'all lucky I'm wearing this because when I first started, I didn't wear nothing because it just worked better. You know, and
well,
then
yeah, because
like,
but her powers like is weird. She can put people to sleep with like a pheromone. She admits, so like she gotta kind of have a suit to cover that up.
Exactly. And but when she first started, she didn't even have a suit, but they made it against the law.
But let me tell you who is fan service in Boku no Hero? Mount Lady.
Oh, you talking about the
Mount Lady is at its finest fan service, and I ain't mad at it.
She is that fan service character.
Right. But even her isn't like over the top. You know,
yeah, I don't know how you don't count over the top that like when you see her as a small person before she grows gargantuan, it's already it's okay. When she's tiny, it's fine. Did you see her when she got big? Boy.
Yeah. And then people are like taking pictures.
Exactly. That's like, fan service.
But it's still like it's not like ridiculous. It's not like
they know what they were taking pictures of, bro. That's all I'm saying.
Everything ain't jiggling and all that kind of.
She ain't my favorite from My Hero anyway.
Stupid. But but I just like how the two heroes that did have kind of the most were like they were justified in having that. And they took the time out to explain it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, then rather than having it seem so obscene, you know, like
exactly. But other than that, I think for me it hurts the anime, you know, because I'm not here to watch.
Girl, is Rangiku the chick from Bleach, the blonde,
strawberry blonde girl?
Yeah, isn't that Rangiku?
That's Rangiku Matsumoto. Pure fan service.
Yeah, she was pure fan.
I don't know. My favorite fan service is what Nella brought up, which was the stuff that actually caters to the fans.
Yeah, just giving
I just think our over sexualized stuff is weird to even call it fan service in the first place.
But see, that's the thing. It's just becoming that over sexualizing of things is becoming, or if it already is the norm for this. You know, for animation, even in the manga, like it's just normal because in their culture, it's like that. So when we look at it from our Western standpoint, it's like, oh man, you know, and this complaint usually comes from people from the West. Nobody in the East is like, bro, I don't want to see these big boobs, bro. Just take them away.
Right.
Like, you know, they don't mind this. It's just, it's our end.
Yeah. Noli.
She said,
y'all hear
Molly fan service.
You mean like Nelio? Bleach? Nell 2? Nell 2 isn't quite Lolly fan service when she's in her small form. Nelliel is really small, and I like her. I like her character a lot. But since she's a baby, I wouldn't call that a lolly thing. But when she changes,
oh boy, that's pure fan service.
That's fan service.
Released
like
now?
The way she kept the same garment on as a baby as she did as an adult, and it was strategically ripped. Like in a lot of ways too, the fan service was so strong in the manga they had to change it for the anime. Same thing with Holly Bell. So yeah, I would say that adult Nell is definitely fan service, but I wouldn't go as far as the lolly thing when she's a baby.
Facts. So
and
Trey,
the way she talks isn't mature at all. She calls Ichigo Itsugo.
Yeah, she can barely speak at whatsoever at all. So I wouldn't even consider it any type of fan service myself. Also, but I was gonna get back to Trey. So Trey, what did you have that was I guess you know, closing question, or we still got more questions. If y'all are still rocking with us, we can still just keep going. What was it that you also had in there, Trey?
I had. Let me see. I had favorite episode of the week. Why you liked it so much?
I guess I'll go first. Favorite episode of the week would have to come from Boruto. Not trying to just throw it out there because I do like Boruto.
What?
Boruto. This episode that just passed, like with this little arc that they were having with Chocho, because to me, Chocho represents the ideal stereotype that a lot of people or a lot of kids at that age kind of, anybody knows from Naruto, the Akamichi clan have the ability to pretty much increase their, what's the way I want to say this? Accelerate the, metabolism to, decrease their, weight. So it's like almost like a caloric, all their calories just get shed to the point where they're just gone, but it turns into chakra, like the chakra butterfly that you saw Choji activate at the first point with the Sound Ninja fight, and then later on at the end of the Ninja War by himself. Chocho, at the age, I think she's 12, Chocho can activate the chakra butterfly already without having to use the pills whatsoever. She can instinctively do it. But this episode, for me, just summing up, Chocho realizing she was already great as she was and didn't have to change herself to be great for anybody else. Like, everybody didn't like, or more so she didn't like the guy she was attracted to didn't like the chunkier Chocho, rather than he was more attracted to the slender, calories being pushed out of their limits just because of this jutsu being used. And she finally, just learned to love and accept self, and kind of just, if no one doesn't like the you that you are without having to change yourself, then they're not for you. So she kind of was crushing on this superstar who was, when she first presented herself to him, he was like, oh, big girl or whatever. And then when she used the chakra butterfly, he was all encapsulated. Even Boruto was like just entranced by it. He's like, that can't be Chocho. Like, she's fat. This ain't Chocho. And she was like, this is me. Got plump again and went back tiny. So, I just love the fact that it was teaching, self-love in the episode and, understanding one's worth. So even though it was a filler episode and, it didn't really hold much weight, it was a good episode in my eyes.
Nilla, you said you didn't watch anything this week, right?
No, I just read stuff.
Yeah, I didn't watch anything this week either, but the last thing I did watch was Food Wars. I liked it. But I gotta use the bathroom. Hold on.
He's just gonna say, last thing I watched was Food Wars.
Because
I liked it.
I was debating whether I wanted to go.
So I guess I'll get into whatever I read. So I read One Punch Man, Dragon Ball Super, and Food Wars this week.
Mm-hmm.
And One Punch Man, I love the One Punch Man chapter because they're always about 40 pages long.
Gotta love it, that double serialization.
They're always super long, like the Claymore chapters used to be. Same with Dragon Ball Super, usually 40 to 50 pages long. So, with One Punch Man, I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't read it or was just watching the anime. But this big thing is happening. And watching it all unfold is really cool because you're getting to see like all those heroes that you didn't know about in the Hero Association, all the A classes, B classes, even a lot of the C classes, you're getting to see what they're capable of combat-wise. You're getting to see their powers, abilities, all this different stuff. So that's...
he punches people and they die.
Spoiler, he punches people and they die. True, but Saitama wasn't even in this later chapter. And I think that's really cool that they're fleshing out everybody in the Hero Association. They can not just those staple powers that you see the top 12 characters have, which is really cool. Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super is in the Tournament of Power right now. They just started. Except Jiren's a bit different, and Goku's a bit different in how he approaches Jiren. Jiren and Goku
different in a good way.
They getting into it right off the bat. Like, they ready to fight. Kale was different. Like, she still went into like that Broly Berserker mode, but she was attacking her own teammates too, not just other people. She was just knocking anybody out that she
was letting them have it. And also, like in the show, guys, how Trey, you remember how we kept seeing people getting knocked off by different fighters? Most of the other universes that got eliminated, that Khalifa Kale fusion, she eliminated everybody, got them down to the last 3. That was all her. No Vegeta didn't knock nobody off. This wasn't no Goku, Piccolo, Gohan. No, when Kale and Khalifa fused, they lit the whole. No, it was just Kale. Sorry, when Kale turned into Berserker mode, she kicked everybody's ass off the ring and eliminated 3 universes by her damn self.
Back to back.
I was like, that's what I would have loved to see, and got down to the nitty gritty in the anime.
Yeah, and the fusion didn't happen as like a we're losing, so we're gonna use this. The fusion happened to get Kale to stop.
Yeah.
Because they wanted Kale's raw potential with Khalifa's fighting prowess and intelligence. So when they merged, it was like considered the perfect fusion.
Man, could you imagine if they knew how to do the freaking yard rat dance though?
That would have been crazy.
Bro, they would have probably been even more stronger, because I feel like just a tangent. I feel like the fusion dance is a more perfect solidified fusion than the actual Potara, because like the Potara is just like combining 2 people, but like the fusion dance, I feel like it mixes every element of them to make a whole new person, even though the fusion, the Potara.
So as a Dragon Ball fan, and the sticker in me is nagging at me. The Meta Maries are the ones who made the fusion dance. The Yardrats are the instant transmission guys.
Oh, okay. I thought, well, see, Goku just, when he explained it, he just picked it up at the same time he got it from them other people. I was like, okay.
He said he learned it from the Metamorians. Yeah, in other words.
Weren't they on the Yard planet, though?
No, he learned the fusion dance when he was dead after the Cell Saga.
Ah,
he learned
okay.
instant transmission after he fought Frieza. He got lost.
Gotcha. All right, Guru, I see you. Drop that knowledge.
But
I know he's killing. Quick question.
Yeah,
where do y'all get y'all manga? Do y'all buy it or do y'all just find the spot?
I do both. I read them. I read the weekly ones on Manga Stream. But when they come out with the serialized book, like I have all the Food Wars and One Punch Man manga that have been serialized over here in the West. But I have all of them. So if I'm a big enough supporter, I'll buy it.
Or something. Cause I ain't finna be getting all this stuff ruined like today.
Now, for me, I read usually on Manga Deep, Manga Rock, Manga Stream. I got a bunch of sites where I read stuff, because certain sites only have certain, serializations. So I have to pick and choose where most of my stuff I read. Certain sites have it where other ones don't.
Yeah, because like Manga Stream only has like the 5 most current chapters. You can't go from the beginning, because they say, well, if you want to read from the beginning, please support the serialized release.
Yeah.
And buy those.
Yep. Now, if you go to Manga Deep or Manga Rock or even Manga Fox, those places archive. So you can go back and just cash out.
There are apps too that you can get on your phone. Make it easy to read manga on your phone. But yeah, with Dragon Ball Super manga, Kale was knocking all these people out, and then they fused because Jiren's crew, Universe 11, that Justice crew, was whooping Kale down because they were coordinated. So they fused, and they took out like that whole crew in one swoop, which was crazy. So the only ones left were Jiren, Toppo, and that bunny rabbit dude.
Dispo.
Yeah, Dispo. It was Dispo, Jiren, and Toppo are the only ones left right now. Well, the fused version of Kel and Khalifa, I can't remember their name, Kefla, she went straight for Goku. Shot a huge blast at him, and I'm like, that's a powerful blast. Like, it was the fused version of this blast, so it's super strong. And it's coming after Goku, and it catches him off guard. So I'm like, oh, this is gonna hurt. All of a sudden, you see somebody knock the blast away. And I was like, oh, snap, who just playing like that? Gohan shows up. And confidently told his pops, he's like, hey, you handle your
Jiren, I'll take this.
And I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then they showed him again. He had that look in his eye like he had when he was fighting Cell. I was like, wait a minute. So they hyped Gohan up in the anime so much.
They did him so
And Super
dirty.
even. Like, he had Piccolo train. I'm going to reach a new form that's never been reached before.
Mystic Gohan. We've seen it before, my guy.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm kind of upset about this. But in the manga, it seems like it's something he has that he didn't have before. So they're getting Gohan back on the right track. That has me happy, super happy, because Gohan's always been my favorite. And then Food Wars, like there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Food Wars right now that I wasn't ready for. Like, yeah, you know how you said whenever they taste the food, they like their clothes blow off and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, real quick. Can you not spoil Food Wars?
I'm not gonna spoil
I'm
Food
dead
Wars
in the
for you.
middle. Okay, good.
I'm not gonna spoil it for you. No.
I didn't know none of that stuff happened in Super. So. But go ahead.
Well, it's different because in the anime, none of this stuff happened.
Yeah, the stuff we talking about now,
okay.
that's what we were talking about earlier, Yig, when like how studios and manga like they deviate from each other, and then you know they have issues and falling out, and that's why you don't see certain stuff ever come back because they didn't like it, or they switch the art style changes because they switch studios and they're messing with ones. Yeah, I would have preferred this manga version of Super than the one that we got,
because the way Super's working, Toei Animation, they did the anime.
Mm-hmm.
They knew just basically the base story, the bare bones story, and then they were like, do with it what you will. Akira Toriyama is still writing the manga, so the manga is completely different than the anime. And with Food Wars, all I was going to say is, this isn't spoiling anything, is that whole clothes blowing off thing, there's like another level to it.
Oh, okay.
that they just unveiled this week in the chapter, which was funny to me.
See, I gotta read that now. I gotta know what this is you're talking about. See, I haven't read this week's Shokugeki, so I'm probably read that when we finish up here.
Oh yeah, the manga is so much better than the anime and Super. It's so much better.
Plus you get to see actual Super Saiyan God Vegeta, which you never get to see in the actual anime.
Yeah, you get the red-haired Vegeta.
Well, yeah. Anyway, let me ask y'all a question because I haven't watched nothing. And the last stuff I watched, I'm pretty much catching up. But if you had to choose, no matter what, the rest of your life, would it be anime or manga?
Would anime all run to completion like manga do? Or would it be the same as it is today?
How it is today.
Manga.
And
I pick manga hands down.
Manga, okay.
That's not even a hard choice for me.
It ain't.
Yeah.
Because manga runs to completion normally. And there are a lot of anime that stopped dead in the middle. And just knowing that I'll never get to see that anime, I'd stick with the manga. And manga, there's so much more.
Yeah.
There's so much more.
It's that good, huh?
It is, man.
I always thought like anime was like end all be all.
Well, no, anime, you can get hyped. The manga helps you get hyped for the anime because you're sitting there like, I can't wait to see this get animated. But imagine all those manga you read and you're saying that, but it never gets animated.
Gotcha.
So,
same with you, Tez?
Oh yeah, hands down, big facts. I have to watch. I mean, not watch, but I have to read above all things. I'd only read. Just it's always because I read ahead anyway, so I ain't got no issues. Plus,
one of my friends watched anime, then he started watching and reading. Now all he does is read. He doesn't watch anime at all.
So,
like, bro,
is there any examples of an anime that was like way better than the manga?
Samurai Champloo, because there was no manga.
Dragon Ball.
If there
Any
was
of the Dragon Balls.
Dragon Ball, I'll say the anime was better than the manga, but yeah, I actually preferred the manga more. In the manga, Gohan was the one to beat Majin. That's the same thing. Like when they put it in an anime, Gohan's not, so he always falls off. But in the manga, Dragon Ball Z was supposed to be Gohan's whole setting up as the new main hero.
Yep. Dragon Ball was for Goku and Z was for Gohan.
Yeah.
Because I totally was more excited. Something about Gohan was just felt like it was more like dope to see.
He was
him
supposed to be
grow
stronger
up.
than Goku. That was the whole point.
Exactly. And they made him read.
But in the manga, yeah, he was the one that flipped off Majin, not Goku.
How did you do it?
Mystic the same way. It's just that he was able to kill him while he was Super Buu. It wasn't. We didn't get a Kid Buu, and that wasn't a thing. But if I said, let me think of one where the anime was, oh, it's better than the manga. Or I'd rather watch the anime instead of read the manga. Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan, just because that is the type of story where animating it is like the 3-dimensional movement gear.
Yeah.
Like, it's just something about seeing that animated that's so much more satisfying than reading it.
Big facts.
So I definitely, I'd put Attack on Titan in that category.
Any action-packed thing, anything I'm reading that has a lot of action to it, or stuff that just seems like it's definitely gonna need some illustration, I'd rather watch it than read it. Or in the case where, because I do read it, I can't wait to see it get animated. Like I said, Goblin Slayer, y'all. I'm telling you, mark my words. When y'all start watching Goblin Slayer, and if you start reading it, you'll thank me. It's good, bro.
Thank me later.
Seriously, like I'm gonna be like Tack. You're welcome.
So, Tez, do you have a spot where we can reference everything that's being said here? Not necessarily like, the picture of this, but like any, like the suggestion, that type.
What, like as far as where I watch all my stuff and read my stuff?
No. Like you just said, Goblin Slayer.
Yeah,
like where can people go to reference back to this episode and get all this information?
I mean, you can watch on Crunchyroll. Goblin Slayer isn't out yet, but you can read Goblin Slayer. You can either purchase the serialized version or read through whatever the many alleged forums you read from. But you just have to search it. Trust me, anything you've heard in here, you search it. Google is like throwing a rock in a pond. You go hit something. Right there.
I get that. I'm talking about like where we can, because everybody ain't gonna remember all this. Like, is there a spot where are you gonna be in NGA Discord with it, or what?
I mean, if anybody wants it, they can definitely just hit me up and ask. I'm more than happy to just throw it back out there, give it to them. But unless you want to take it upon yourself to delegate that duty in the Discord, I'm just talking about it. If they happen to ask me about it again, I'm more than welcome to share it. I don't really have a compiled list of anything. It's just where I usually go. It's just my normal stuff that I'm either watching or keeping up with.
Okay.
Yep. But I think with that, man, we've hit the mark. We've hit it on the head. We got about 30 plus more minutes over than what we usually do. But I mean, it's still been a good day. It was a good stream. It was a good podcast, man. Any other closing statements or remarks from you guys before we wrap it up?
No, none from you.
Same here.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody that came through. The follows, we got, Saxton, appreciate you. Drew for the host, Taco for the host, Yig for the host, Trey for the host, the bits. My cousin coming through, everybody that was here live for it. Like to thank y'all for being here for it, man. This is something I look forward to doing for a long time to come, along with, Nella Trey as often as we can, and Yig when he is here and when he's not here. So this is something we definitely enjoy doing and being here with you guys and sharing it. Like I said, also, if you didn't catch it live, it'll also be up on Google Podcast, Anchor, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, /Tesmo Gizmo. And that's pretty much it, man. I'm just really grateful to have people want to come through and share with us, enjoy this with us. Watch this grow, watch this build. Also, and if you don't know, we do have a Discord where we also meet up. Primarily where I'm usually at, it's the NGA Discord. You can always just search it on the Discord website, Never Game Alone, or hop into any of our chats, or usually, especially mine, and just hit Discord and you'll get a link to it. There you'll find other people that you may see in the stream. We're chatting like Roll Tide Girl. I think Little Pikachu's in there, Dead Hero, and a lot of us will actively be in there when we can. Gig and Trade do have their own individual Discords also. You can find them at just hitting them up from either the NGA or otherwise. But yeah, man, we're gonna get on out of here and we'll holler at y'all. Peace.
Yo.